got some problems that you wanna solve? Then let's chat. That job getting on your nerves? Then let's chat. Girl, you know I can relate, so let's chat. Cause I'ma tell you what the bottom line is.
I'ma tell you what the bottom line is. I'ma tell you what the bottom line is. I'ma tell you what the bottom.
It's your girl Cece. I'm your hostess with the mostest.
I'ma tell you what the bottom line is.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of The Bottom Line Is. It's your girl Cece, the hostess with the mostest, and I have my girl Kyra here, and you guys are in for a treat. Now I know I say that every episode, but you know, I gotta have all the topics that resonates with all of my viewers, right? So this topic that we're talking about is how you can go from a full life to empty nester and what's next, essentially. So I am going to let Kyra kind of give you a little bit of backstory on her life and the transition.
So my name is Kyra. I have 2 kids and 1 grandson, which will be 3 on the day before Valentine's Day. So, and right now I am entering a phase where I will call myself an empty nester, because my oldest, which is 26, or he'll be 27 this year, lives somewhere else. I'm not going to say where he lives. He lives in Tennessee. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he lives in Tennessee. And my youngest has gone to college, and now she's getting ready to go into the military. And so she's about to leave too. And for me, it's like my last 20 some odd years of my life has all been wrapped around them and their lives. So now it's all about me and what that looks like.
No, for sure. Let my pause and then bring the microphone over. I'll clear that little space out. That way, make sure we have good audio. Okay, so that's great to hear that they're doing some excellent things.
Yeah, they're doing great things. They're doing things. They're established, and that's another thing. When your kids are established and doing the right things, and you know you've made the right decisions in their lives when they were in their youth, and even sometimes we make bad decisions too. So don't let me believe that.
Yeah, they always say it's no handbook on being a parent.
There's no handbook.
You kind of got to go with the flow and trial and error, right?
Absolutely. So sometimes you make some mistakes. So I'm not going to make it seem like I've made all the right decisions, because I didn't. But I'm thankful to see where they are right now. And for me, it's the reflection is back on me, on where I want to be and what I need right now, and what I kind of left behind with being a parent.
Yeah, no, for sure. Now, if you don't mind sharing, like, at what age did you become a parent?
I became a parent at 20.
Okay.
So I'll give a little disclaimer. My oldest is not biologically mine, but I raised him, and anybody knows I raised him. Since he was like 4 or 5. Okay. So, and like I said, he's about to be 27 now. So that's mine. And my youngest will be 24 this year. Okay. So I became a parent at the age of 21. So y'all can do the math on how old I am.
Well, that question wasn't fun.
But I wasn't even 21. I was the year I was turning 21. But I had my daughter in April, so I wasn't even 21. But I had this child at 20. Right. I was in college. I was doing all the things that I want to do for myself. I was in culinary school. Shout out to Johnson & Wales, because that's my alma mater.
Nice.
I got some good friends that went to the school too. So, but I ended up having to not necessarily leave school, but I definitely didn't finish doing all the things that I wanted to do. I did get a partial of my degree, but at the end of the day, there was other things that I wanted for myself that had nothing to do with kids.
Right. Yeah.
So, for that fact that it just kind of was like, it was a life interruption, I guess you could say.
Yeah, no,
I'll just say life interruption. Because sometimes people want to look at it as a bad thing, and while you're going through it, sometimes it can feel really bad.
Yeah, because it's like all of a sudden, especially at that age, because you're still in your prime. You're still in that moment of finding yourself, as well. Even though you're in school, just because you pick a major, sometimes you really still don't know what path you want to take.
Absolutely not. Absolutely
and
not.
So, and then you had that life interruption, and motherhood is a blessing. We're not saying that.
Motherhood is always a blessing.
Right. But now you have to re-strategize and reorganize because now you're not just worried about yourself, you're worried about other people.
And that's what it should be. You should be worried about your focus on yourself should go to a focus on your children, and making sure they achieve all the things that you possibly did not achieve and the things that you have achieved and more.
Right.
So at the end of the day, your focus should be on making sure they receive all the time and attention that they deserve during their prime time, right?
Right. And it's a sacrifice.
And it's an absolute big sacrifice. And I mean, at the time when I sit back and think about it, I didn't realize how much of a sacrifice it has. I have endured and have given and things I've given up just to make sure they had. My daughter always I always make it happen.
Right.
So
that's I feel like all moms are like that. Like,
you have to make it happen no matter what, and I'm not going to take anything away from their dad because their dad was definitely a part. But there are roles. But clearly, we're not. I'm a single woman, so clearly, we're not together. So I went through a stage in my life where I was doing it by myself as a single mom. He did play his part, but at the end of the day, a lot of times the responsibility still falls down on the mom.
I mean, that's the reality of it. I mean, we're happy to have the dads, assistants, but
absolutely.
We know the moms that know.
Exactly. Right, exactly. So, because your kid's gonna come back to you and looking at you in your face like, well, what am I gonna do? Even when dad might be there, but sometimes dad might not be able to relate or understand or nurture the way a mom is. So, like I said, with that, you have to be willing to take the time and the energy and the effort to put into your kids so they can be the success and become the fruit of what you put. Your kids become the fruit of what you put into them.
No, for sure. Now let me ask you, what do you think about the statement when people say I'm living through my kids, like the things that I couldn't achieve, I'm trying to live through my kids and pushing the kids into doing things that they wanted to do growing up that they didn't have the chance to?
I think that in some part there's two things can be true at one time, right? Now, if you're living through your kids and you expect them to do exactly everything you did, then you're wrong, right?
That's not reality.
That's not reality, right? Because you're not giving them the opportunity to live their lives. But if you're living through them in regards to telling them where you failed and show them the way and help them navigate life so they do achieve the things that you may have failed on, then that's not living. I don't feel that's
not making the same mistakes that you made.
That's not really, you're maybe living through them because you see them, achieving all the things you may not achieve. Because I know for myself right now, I am living through my kids. I'm excited for them. I'm proud of them. There's certain things that I want for myself that I have not achieved, that I see that they are achieving, that I am, and not like,
I get it.
I'm not saying like they're doing major things, but there are things that I see am just even in discipline and personality and different things that I see in them that I, admire out of them from what I've put into them and as well as who they have become, right? From the conversations we've had, the things that, I've talked to them about in life and things that, the challenges I may have had. So I think that, you doing your child disservice if you're trying to make them, go down a road that they don't want to go down. I think you have to leave the door open for them to be themselves and nurture that.
Yeah, because I feel like if not, then at some level in their life, they're going to have some type of resentment.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And so,
I think the biggest thing is I think the key thing I've learned in being a parent is that, pay attention to your kids and see what they're good at and nurture that. Because as a parent, you see what your kid is good at. And it could be some things that sometimes people try to make it out to be a negative thing, right? But if pushed in a different route or a different way, it can make them successful, right? Be it their personality, their being outgoing, being their just like very financial illiterate. Like my daughter is very much so, and since young, since I'm talking about like 3, like she's been my family to give her like money for Christmas and everything. My daughter, as long as I can think of, always wanted to put her money in the bank. She was always been a saver, right? Whereas my son, he gonna spend it up, right? but they both have their own way of doing things, and that are beneficial to themselves, right?
No, that's awesome.
You know, so at the end of the day, and even with my son, I know, and I don't want to make it like my son's just that type of person. My son,
you glowing when you're talking about your kids.
Yes.
So too bad we didn't have them on here.
Yeah, right. But like with my son is a very personable person.
Right.
You know, no matter, he's a hard worker. No matter where you go, you're not going to outwork him, and you're not going to outshine him, because he's know who he is. Right. Those things are things that I see in him, and I nurture those things. So you have to put the confidence into your kids, you know, so they can be who they want to be, right? And feel like they can talk to you about who they want to be. Yeah. So then you can continue that back and forth relationship. One of the things that I appreciate and I am thankful for and grateful for the most, especially right now, is that, you know, with my kids being all over the place a little bit, because they are both no longer in, like I said, empty nesters and out of state, right? They're gonna, my daughter's getting ready to go out of state, right? So, you know, we have these moments where we spend time on FaceTime, and we're talking on the phone for hours, and we're talking about everything. I mean, literally everything. We're online, sharing stuff online on the screen, and we're talking about everything, and that connection is very solid. And you know, sometimes it makes me sad, because it's like, oh, my babies. You know,
sometimes you just want to like be able to touch them, give them a hug, and everything. Right. And I remember you saying too, when we first chatted about this, that, you know, thankfully in 2025 we have the technology that we do. Part. Because I feel like from an emotional standpoint, if we didn't have like FaceTime and all these other, you know, virtual ways to connect, it would be even harder.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, my separation anxiety would be through the roof.
You probably moved in the middle of something.
I'm saying, like, I'm real big on my babies, and like, so I ain't gonna lie, I have a little separation. I realize I have a little separation anxiety, and I am now trying to figure out, all right, realizing I need people, right? You know what I mean? Because like before, I was just focused on, I mean, I've always had friends and people in my life, but I really didn't look to really engage and really connect fully until really now. And I recognize that now, because before I felt like I don't really have the time.
Right.
I don't really have the time to really fully engage with you, because if my kids call, if something else becomes important, like, then I have to go. And even ultimately, even financially right now, I've never been in a situation where I didn't have to think about someone else. Yeah. Like, I'm literally in a situation where I'm only thinking about me, myself, and I. Yeah. Like, really thinking about me, myself, and I. And it's like, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? How do you want to move?
All great questions. And how does that make you feel?
Excited and nervous at the same damn time.
And that's real. That is really real.
Yeah. I mean, really excited and really nervous, because, you know, I've never had this buffet of what do I want to do? Yeah. You know, and my adult.
Who are you?
And who am I, especially in my adulthood? Yeah. Like, as long as I've been an adult, I've been a mother. And so I don't know what it looks like just to be an adult. Right. So I'm excited about, I'm not going to go YOLO, but I mean, I'm going to enjoy some time.
You might have a YOLO moment.
I might a little bit.
We'll let you know.
No. Well, I mean, I feel like I had a couple little YOLO moments in between time, because I definitely feel like, you know, I'm not a parent that feels like your kids should be able to be your complete life. Right. I definitely think you should be carving out moments throughout your child's life to secure your own happiness. And that's what I will say. I wish I would have taken more time for myself in developing what I wanted.
And
So
what would that look like? Talk a little bit about that.
That probably would have been more like schooling. That might have been, really focusing on a partner, a relationship. It would have been really, standing tall on my goals, or or even or the businesses have tried to have in the past. I think it would have been me being more focused and diligent about myself.
Right. Like carving out a space for yourself, not just, 50-50 for each child, so to speak.
50-50 for each child, or just putting myself on the back burner. Put myself in the back burner. Like, I'll get to me.
Right.
I'll do it in this year. I'll do it later. I'll do it this. I'll do this. I'm going to do it. I'll start. Or a lot of starting and not finishing, right? And as well as being accountable. Ooh. Yeah. Like really being accountable for when you are not doing what you're supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
And you know that you should have been doing something, but you just didn't, right? Sometimes hearing, and the biggest point I was pointing, just talking to you earlier about, and realizing when God's telling you to do something, and because you're nervous or you're afraid or you just don't think you're ready, or different things, and all these different excuses you give yourself,
right?
Of why you can't do it now.
Right.
Now I don't have those excuses. All I have is myself and my thoughts, and how I feel and where I'm at right now.
So let me ask you, with the ideas that you just came up with of what you wish you could have done during that time that they were growing up, do you still feel the same way of wanting to accomplish those things, or now that you are fully an adult, do those things change? Like, how does that compare?
I still want to do some of those things. I mean, self-development is always important, right? So I'm definitely in the range of thinking, where am I going? How am I about to self-develop, right? What am I going to do that's going to feed my brain, feed my mind, feed my soul,
which is exciting too.
Which is very exciting, right? Because I don't really have to think about what someone else is, or engaging, or even being someone else's cheerleader during that time. Because like when my daughter was in school, when she would have her moments, or even when my daughter's doing anything, or my kids are having their moments, I'm their cheerleader. Now they get to be my cheerleader.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And ultimately for myself, even, I get to be my own cheerleader, and I get to talk to myself and not think about anyone else. And I know it sounds very selfish, but for the first time, I get the chance to be really selfish about my time. And also one of the biggest thing is, I think, as a parent, and for myself, and maybe reflective of me, I, kind of, not necessarily tiptoe, but was careful about certain relationships, and not to be. Yeah, like in regards to who I dealt with, and as well as even some things I said, or how I may have addressed people, or how I felt about things, because I didn't want it to affect how you treated my child, or I didn't want it to affect this, or affect this relationship or that relationship. And now I could give a damn.
Yeah,
because
they don't even know your kids. So
because because at this point it's just me, myself, and I. You know,
for sure.
And if it don't feel good to me, then it's not good for me, and that's it. I can walk away. And for a long time, I had a hard time of letting go and walking away from things that did not serve me. So I feel like now,
at this point, a lot of people, I think,
Oh yeah. And I feel like at this point right now, I am at a place where I am just really focused on how I feel, how I show up, and realizing that I got time.
Yeah. Now let me ask you. So you mentioned about you have a grandchild.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes.
Oh, he's so cute. I love him.
So I feel like sometimes parents, as they transition and their kids are growing up and becoming adults, sometimes I feel like parents may shift that type of energy to their grandchildren instead of taking that time to shift it to their self. Like, what do you feel about that?
I mean, I think if I lived in the same state, that probably would happen. I do still feel that way.
Right.
Because I am in love with this little boy. Oh my gosh. I cannot wait to see him. I'll be going to see him on Tuesday. On Wednesday, I'll be on the plane on my way.
Yeah.
So like,
travel.
so yes, thank you very much. But like, yes, that's one of the things that I am excited about. I love him. I'm excited about him. I mean, and that's one of the reasons more for myself now. It's time for me to self-develop in some ways for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's one thing about being a parent. If you are a parent and you don't reflect on what you experience and try to do something different, then shame on you, right? So for myself, there are certain things that I would like to be able to give my grandson, or be able to do for my grandson that was not able to be done for my kids, right?
So it's like a second chance almost at parenthood, but in a different way. Right?
I don't even want to say it's a second chance of being a parent. It's a different way of love, right? Okay. Because I'm no matter what, I'm still my kid's parent. I'm supporting. I'm still they're even though they're adults, they're still children.
Right.
And I was one thing I resonate with. I kind of adapt to my spirit is, it's easier to understand how to be a mother by being a daughter, and easier to be a daughter by knowing how, because you've been a mother, right? And so, I know how I want to feel as a daughter. Okay. So as a mother, I need to give my daughter that. Right. But then as a daughter, I need to be able to give that to my mother. Right. So me and my daughter have kind of have that relationship, but I kind of take that that thought process in all my relationships. You know what I mean? I know what I would have wished my grandparents would have been able to do for me. And I know what I want to be able to do for my grandson. Right. Yeah. And as a parent, I know what happened in my life that, that didn't feel great, but, and shout out to my parents, because I love them. They're the greatest. But at the same time, they're like, you don't get to be a part of this life and don't have any type of trauma. Like, I don't want people, true. I think people try to act like everything is always wonderful. And it's not. Everyone has their struggles. Everybody has their traumas. Everybody has their things. How you overcome them is what makes you, makes you great. That right? Is very true. So for myself, I'm at a place where I've learned how I can look back and like, I've overcome so much, right? But it's so many more things that I'm ready to overcome and build for mine. Like, I have an idea of what I want my family legacy to look like. Right. And for me, I am working on that on my end. Right. Okay. What I would have I don't say what I wish I would have done before or whatever, because everything happens for the in the right timing, right? Yeah. So, like, for me, I'm just like I'm excited for what's to come for me, for my grandkid. I only got one right now.
I was gonna say, hope you might have some more.
Right,
soon.
No, I don't know. No, I don't about no soon. No, because this grandma ain't ready to be a grandma. Really,
I know you look too good to be a grandma.
Exactly. Everybody stay in and be like, "Are you really?" I was like, "Yes."
That's why I asked you that question, because I was like, people are like, "She a grandma?" Because that's what I was looking like when you said that to us. I was like, no, you're not. Right.
Exactly. Right. Like, you're supposed to have some more little kids. No, that's not. It ain't gonna happen either. But no, like,
I have heard people that are empty nesters. They're like, oh, maybe it's time for me to have another baby.
Oh no, Jesus.
And I'm just like, oh, you want to start over again? Oh, how's that gonna look?
I mean, I'm gonna tell you something. It would have to be cold day hell, but no, he would have to be. And if you're out there, you have to really be able to take care of it all. Like, I got to be able to sit on my feet. We gonna have a nanny. I'm not doing anything. Right. Like, I'm literally doing nothing. But being the house of all this, and then
the vessel
of all of this baby. And if things don't work out, you gotta take that baby with you.
I'm done.
You gotta take that baby with you. I can't take that baby. I can't.
But that's real though.
That's real. No, that's real.
I would say the same thing.
Yeah, you gotta take that. I already did my bid. Yeah. I can't do it again. So you're gonna have to take this baby. I keep doing. I don't know, every other weekend.
That's your compromise.
every other weekend. If we don't work out, but if we stay together, baby, I got you. I'm gonna be there every day and every night. But we gonna have nannies and
Yeah, I was gonna say, but
people,
you gonna have that nanny.
we gonna have a nanny and some people to help us, because I can't do it, because but my grandson with that 3-year-old, I love him. I be having him for the time I have him, and I be so happy when he is ready to go.
That's every parent or grandparent's line. They're like, I love them while they're here, but I'm glad to see them go.
Yes, because afternoon nap is real.
Yeah,
I mean, and when you get to this age, you realize the afternoon nap is golden.
Yes,
that's like some special
that's the
stuff.
part of adulthood.
My God, exactly. And see, for me, I never had that experience in adulthood. So here, where I'm at now, feels really comfy and really good. I don't want to leave.
Right.
Yeah. So no full-time babies on my roster, but a grandbaby.
Right.
I got you. You know what I mean? Who knows? Things might change. I say this right now. God knows I have a big heart, so he might decide to bring some people. May not be kids that's coming through me. I might adopt some kids.
If you're trying to be like, let me put that record on straight, not through this vessel. Like somebody else's.
I might adopt a kid, or I don't know. I've always thought about those type of things, but like, nah, No, I don't think. I mean, like I say, he would have to be the man of my dreams, and he would have to be like, babe, you don't gotta worry about none of this. All you gotta do is just show up. And I'm like, all I gotta do is show up.
Push gift and all. Thank you.
Push gifts.
Yes.
I'm not just a gift. I want a vacation. Push vacation. I need a gift and vacation.
We manifesting.
Girl, that's what I'm saying. Like, I saw something on Kendra the other day, and a lady talking about she had so Kendra, and she said she was one of the men that had made $500,000 and all this stuff. And sis showed, they did a recap, and girlfriend got her man to make. She said over that. She has one. He only has one. He has one company that. I said, where they at though?
Like,
we
need to find them.
We need them.
Make sure you like and comment though.
If you out there, find me, because I am waiting for you.
Find us.
Yes, us. Yeah. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Because that's what we're looking for.
Yes. So, but no, that's awesome. I mean, so what else? Would you say if we have somebody that's watching and they are, maybe not quite an empty nester, but, starting to go through those emotions of preparing for, whether their child is going to college, their child is just, wanting to do a career, or like your youngest go to the military after high school.
She's college. Yeah.
Oh, college. Okay. Yeah. Well, whatever that stage may be, but what would you say to them?
I would say that think about what you want. Mm-hmm. Start thinking about what you want. Build your community, because you don't want to get to that time and then try to start thinking about that, because it could go to a quick feeling of, I think, depression a little bit. Yeah. Because when you sacrifice and you spend so much time with these little people, you ain't seen them grow from little to adults, and then they're talking about, bye, see you later. I catch you around. Yeah. You like, oh, well, where you going? So I would say make sure you have a full life too, a little bit, right? Yeah. And when I say full life, doesn't mean like you out all the time, but you have community. You have people that you do things with. Maybe not be on a daily basis or a weekly basis, but maybe monthly basis. Carve some time for you. Find out what your hobbies are, right? And start nurturing those hobbies again, right? Yeah. If you're not doing them, right? Take some time for yourself. Vacations. Yeah, you
deserve it.
And you definitely deserve it. Yeah. I mean, for even if it's just a day trip, you can take a spa day. I love a good spa day. I'm a spa girl. I love a good spa girl. Just let me boil in some water. I'm like a little chicken. I'm just saying. I love a bathhouse. So yes. So I do too. I'm just saying, so take those moments for yourself. Explore the things that you are interested in. And allow God to kind of meet you halfway there. You know, because it's going to be difficult to kind of change your your current routine if your life is been revolved around your kids. But at the same time, it's exciting to find out what you want and what you like and what you need.
Yeah.
You know, and you should be taking. And my thing is that even if before they're empty nesters, if you're hearing this and you know your kids are in middle school or even elementary school, allow yourself time for yourself. Nurture yourself all throughout their path.
Right.
Put time into yourself. Develop your
rejuvenate too.
Yes, develop your. You know, continue to develop yourself. So when they get to that time where they're leaving, you're not lost. Yeah, because you're trying to figure out where you're going. You know, or what really is important to yourself, to you at the time. I think that's the most, and I think that's my biggest takeaway is put the time and energy in yourself as much energy you put into your kids, put that energy into yourself so you can feel confident about where you're going when you get to that empty nest stage. And I'll say even when I say confident, but not even, I guess the word's not more when I say confident, but more, you know, I don't want to say excited, but just ready, I guess. You know, just prepared.
But what would you say? So going on that note, because you said, you know, don't lose yourself as you are, you know, growing with your kids, right? So what would you say to the mom that says, well, I feel guilty if I'm not, you know, doing something with my kids or for my kids all the time, you know, having that somewhat of a mom guilt.
Right. Well, I understand mom guilt, but there is a balance. You have to find a balance with everything in life, right? You can't give someone all of you and think that you don't deserve anything back.
Right.
And if you give everything to your kids and don't give anything to yourself, you know, the depletion, you're not going to have anything to give to them.
Right.
So you have to take a little bit of time, take some time for yourself. You have to develop yourself. You have to nurture yourself, especially if you don't have anyone else nurturing you. Especially for your single moms, you have to take the time for yourself.
Yeah, and it's like
even if you can just get an overnight, if someone would just take your kids overnight, get yourself a hotel and don't stay home. Especially if you can afford it.
Right.
And if you got Klarna or Afterpay and all those stuff, do it on that.
It's ways.
It wills the way. You know, take yourself, do a hotel room. You could do a staycation.
Yeah. Just to kind of get out different scenery.
Right.
Like
get out that. Get a different atmosphere. Give yourself something for yourself.
Right.
Take yourself to a dinner. Yeah. When you do that, right? When you take yourself on that staycation, go to a good dinner, right? Something that you really like or someplace that you really want to go. Right now, one of the places I haven't been, but that's on my list that I've been, I'm hoping that I get to go to this year is I want to stay at the Ivy, and have you ever heard of Ivy? It's a Black-owned hotel. I want to say it's on Preston. It's in Baltimore. It's in Baltimore, right? Okay. It has a really it's like it's like a Michelin star. If you would like a Michelin star on a restaurant, it's like a Michelin star hotel. Like it's really
treat yourself for a night out because
it's really expensive, but it's really really nice. As well as they have a restaurant called Magdalena. I think it's called Magdalena. I think it's called, but they have a really nice chef.
Oh, I just drove Alicia down there. Yep.
Yeah. So that's the hotel, right? Okay. It's like a boutique hotel, but it's really really nice. It's a renovated mansion.
Oh wow.
They turned into suites. It's really really gorgeous. So it's on my list of things I'm going to do.
Nice.
That's a little something. A little plug, but that's on a high end of things that being as though I am at a complete empty nester. Right. Like my kids is completely gone. I'm saving a couple of coins here and there.
I was about to say too, it's important too, you know, your coins too are a little bit more opened up, you know, as well. Too.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I feel like, even for me as a caregiver, I feel like sometimes I'm stuck at these dead end jobs, if you will, because you know, I have to work because I have to pay for these expenses. And just like parents are like, I have to work because I have to pay for this, this, and this for my child. And now it's like, well, yeah, you have to have enough to keep your roof over your head, right? But like now you have a little bit of
more room. You got a little bit more space. You be like, I could do without that. Yeah. I ain't worrying about if they need this, right? You know, because you got that for yourself. You know, it's like the anxiety is gone. Yeah, I get you. It's like really it's a real worrying about what they're doing at all times. Now that well, let's be clear. That doesn't mean you can't worry about your children. No. But it's a different kind of worry because you have to have some trust that you gave them all the right tools to be great when they are out and about, because you can't be somewhere with them 24/7. Absolutely. You know, as much as I'm sure parents would want to be, that's not reality. Well, the reality is if you put good stuff in, good stuff should come out, right? Yeah. If you're getting them having the right conversations, you're doing the right things. I'm not saying always the case, because everybody is subject to what they want to do. Right. Free will, right? Mm-hmm. Kids do too, right? Yeah. But for the most part, if you're taking the time, the energy, and doing the right things, I believe that you normally get good results, right? Yeah. When we prepare and we do the right things and we take the right steps to make something happen, it normally comes out the way we want it to. Right. So, I mean, and the same thing goes with your kids. You know, you have to give them that. You have to have a balance in your life. You have to balance with them. You know, you need to talk to them and have the communication that you need. So, communication that you would like to have with them, so they can have them, so they can succeed the way they want to. But as ultimately giving yourself what you need as well. That's for sure. Well, is there anything else that you would want to share? You know, whether it's advice or anything about your story, as again going from a full life with kids to a full life, as an empty nester or being independent. Take your time for yourself to figure out what you want. Right. Yeah, that's very important. And listen to your inner voice. You know. Yeah, and I'm sure it's mom support groups out there too. And just know that you're not feeling this way alone. It's a natural feeling, when you're in that transition mode. But instead of being down about it, whether if you need to go to therapy, you need to, talk to your friends, talk to the support group, or find a hobby, find something that you're good at that you can, continue to do and thrive on. And who knows, that might turn out to be $1 million thing. You never know. Absolutely. And I mean, and just like you said, like, you shouldn't see it as a sad thing. Like, if your kids are doing the right thing, you should be excited about them and excited about where you're going. It may be a little sad feeling undertone in your heart because they're leaving, but they ain't gone. They're not gone. They're just. And you can still always talk to them, right? And as well, they're on to something better. Like, how you will be mad at somebody doing something good? Exactly. So at the end of the day, you should be trying to do something good for yourself at this point, right? No, for sure. Yeah. So on that note, I'll say the bottom line is, life doesn't stop. It's just beginning, when you become an empty nester, and, take that time, give yourself some grace. And that seems to be the theme of this season. Absolutely. Is allowing yourself the grace to know that it's going to be okay. It's not something that you have to figure out day one of being an empty nester. It will come with time. But, as you know that one day you will become an empty nester, just start preparing and finding who you really are, outside of being a parent. So, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Now, if people want to know more, about you and, your empty nester journey, how should they reach you? Well, follow me. My name is Kyra. I'm on Instagram as Namaste Faith, NAMASTEFAITH, and on TikTok as Only Kyra. I think it's Kyra Only. It'll be on the yeah. We'll put it on the screen for you. Find your new normal. It's okay. Yes, and that's a phrase that I think applies in every scenario of life, whether you're grieving, and that's another thing too. I mean, I know that when you're entering motherhood, you're grieving the, single, or I don't want to say single, but the life that you had. Yeah. Then you're grieving, when you become an empty nester. There's so many different levels, grief can be done. There's grief in a lot of different things. You can have grief from just losing a friendship or a relationship. Right. So, there's it can be found in different aspects of our lives. It's about how
for sure.
it's about how you overcome it, and how,
Right.
and the steps that you use to make it make what seems like a dark moment actually
Yeah.
a learning experience, or something, or a memory that helps keep you grounded and feeling love.
Yeah.
I mean, right?
That's
Depending
true.
on
Think about all the good
yeah.
times. So if you're watching and you're in this transition period, make sure that you comment down below if you want to ask Kyra some questions about her journey, or just tell us like what you're doing as you are preparing to be an empty nester, or if you already are an empty nester. We really want to know,
Yeah.
and we'll share it here. So again, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And thanks for watching another episode